What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Classic Octane. I am Taylor. Today we are going to be doing another Will It Run video. What are you doing down here? I want to work on some bikes. No, you don't get to work on bikes anymore. Do you remember what happened last time? No. Last time I let you work on a bike, you came down here, you started smashing engines with hammers, and you pissed everybody off. That doesn't sound like Well, I have the video to prove it, so... Nope. I don't believe you. Look, can you just get back up there and start organizing those parts? All this crap? You don't want this. I'm going to use them for something. You're going to use all this. There's like 40 bikes worth of crap. Get back up there and organize them. I don't know how to tell you this, man. You're a hoarder. So this is the bike we're going to be working on today. This is a 1974 CB550, a bike that anybody who's watched my channel for any amount of time will be very familiar with. What I'm going to do to this bike is I want to actually challenge myself to build this entire thing from how you see it right now to a completed, custom, totally done, rideable bike in a week. So what I mean by a week is 7 working days. For me, it's going to be Monday through Friday, and then the next Monday and Tuesday, because I'll be gone for the weekend. But it's going to be 7 working days. What I'm going to do is make a video every single day, edit and upload it the next day. So Monday, I'll start it, record all day, edit it, and have it uploaded on Tuesday. And you guys can actually follow this build, somewhat close to live. And fingers crossed, we get this thing totally done in 7 days. So what I need to do to prepare for that is 2 things. One is get all of the parts. So I've started to gather all the parts. We have a Delcovic exhaust. We have a tough side seat on the way. A lot of the parts I've used in the past, all the chains and fork seals and everything I could possibly think of that this bike might need. Electronic ignition. We're going to be using this gas tank because the inside is super clean. And I'll go into more detail about what we're going to do for the outside later. But I need to have all of the parts here so that I don't, end up having a day or 2 delay in the build because, I didn't have whatever part I needed. So the name of the game today is the second thing I need to do, and that's to make sure that this bike actually runs. Because if it doesn't, I'm gonna need to factor in, putting a different motor in here, figuring out what's wrong with this one. It's just I need to know exactly what we're starting with to give myself the best possible chance of finishing this thing in 7 days. So I'll be giving you guys a more in-depth overview of what we're going to be doing to this bike next week. I hope to start this project on Monday. Today is Wednesday. So next Monday, I should have all of the parts I need so that we can get this started. But just to give you kind of a quick overview, this is a project that somebody started, and then whatever happened, life happened, they had to abandon the project, and that's basically the condition that I bought it in. So it does already have a frame hoop tacked into place. From my rough measurements, I believe it's going to be about 1 inch shorter than I need, so I'm going to have to pull that out, either make a new frame hoop, or depending on what this looks like, I might be able to just sleeve it and put in a kind of a 1-inch extension to make it match our tough side seat length. Everything else, this tank is honestly not in that bad of shape, but with the big dent and stuff, it's just not going to work for us, which is why we're swapping it. I did go ahead and rebuild the carburetors yesterday. They came in a box already disassembled, so I needed to basically go through ultrasonic clean them and then also vapor blast them to give them a good finish. Rejetted them for pod filters and 4-into-1 exhaust. 110s and 40s is what I always run. So that is a first big step to us getting it running. What I need to do now is go through and just check stuff like, do we have oil in the bike? What is the condition of that oil, if I can tell? Throw the carbs on, throw an exhaust on. We can start to put together some temporary wiring and just basically do all of the normal stuff I do in a Will It Run video. So let me set you guys up in a tripod and we will start to check stuff off the list. First thing I want to do is check this oil. I have no idea when the last time this bike ran, which is kind of a common story. Well, it is full. And the oil is actually really clean. So I'm guessing it's probably never run on this oil. Still got good viscosity to it as far as I can tell. Oil doesn't really lose viscosity over time. It just gets contaminated, you know, when it's running. So having it sit really isn't all that bad. We will change the oil anyway, but for today's video, this should do us just fine. This side cover, the clutch cover over here, has this kind of chrome finish on it that seems to just be peeling off. And the rear drum actually has the same problem. So I'll have to see if we want to, when I have the engine out of the frame, pull that off and see if we can sandblast it back to kind of an original finish, or if I want to maybe swap that out with another one, just because this doesn't look good. Next thing I want to do is test this starter, see if all that is working properly. It does turn over nicely with the kickstart, so I know the engine's not seized or anything like that. So to do that, we're going to ground one side of this. And I've shown this before, and I will say it again, don't do this. This is the wrong way to do it. It's, you know, all that kind of stuff. Don't do as I do. And then we'll take this and just touch it to this positive, and that should turn our engine over. Just make sure everything sounds good. Start to get some of that oil circulating around. So it's going to spark a little bit. Don't let it alarm you. Sounds really good. Sounds like we got good compression too. Sweet. Let's move on to, let's see, do we want to check spark or do we want to, yeah, let's go ahead and check spark. I'm just going to pull out this #1 spark plug, hook it to the wire. Then I'm going to need to set up a temporary 12-volt source to our coils. And also it looks like we don't have any coil signal wires too. So I'm going to need to set that up. So there is a blue and a yellow that control one, I don't remember which color does which. One does #1 and #4, the other one does #2 and #3. Make sure those are set up to the points. Make sure we have 12 volts to the black with the white wire on the coil, and then pull a plug, see if we have spark. So these are the coil wires I'm talking about. It's a little braided line that runs back. It's normally in a connector right about here that goes into the main harness. Same connector as the rear brake light switch, but considering that's not there, we can actually get it to reach around and connect blue to blue and yellow. So I believe blue is #1 and #4. Yellow is 2 and 3. Really common issue on these bikes, if you get a bike that's complete but doesn't run, or it runs really badly and pops out of the exhaust and pops out of the carbs, first thing I would check is a common mistake people make is they connect this right coil, the 2 wires coming off of it, they connect to the 2 right cylinders, #3 and #4, and that is your problem, because now it's firing you know, one of these coils incorrectly, or one of the cylinders incorrectly, same on the other side, so you're getting, you know, a spark during an exhaust stroke, which is causing backfires out of your exhaust and so on. So that's the first thing to check, is that your coils are going to the correct cylinders, and then go from there. I'm going to go ahead and get a jumper wire to connect these two, the 2 black with a white stripe, something that'll reach down to my battery box for us to be able to connect in. Temporary power wire is ready to go, not hooked up yet, but let's go ahead and pull this #1 spark plug. Just give them a look, see if they're going to be in good enough condition for us to use for today. I do have replacements on the way. Oh yeah. Oh, those look quite good. You see, nice white color on the center. Sweet. Well, this one's at least going to be good. Let's hook it to the correct coil wire, spark plug wire. Now, we should be able to hook this up, ground out that side, check if we have spark. Some people give me crap for holding it. If you're, you know, scared of it or whatever, you can wear gloves, you know, don't hold it. However you want to do it. I've done it a million times. You know, worst case scenario, you get a little buzz, but it's not going to kill you. But if it'll make you feel better, I'll just set it up like that. Give our coil some power. And let's turn it over and see if we have spark. We got good spark on that one. Let's go ahead and check Number 2, what came out of there? A random bolt? Interesting. Must have just fallen down there. One of the coil plugs was missing, but tighten that up, put that. Wedge this against something that's grounded. Like that. Try again. So I actually don't see any spark on this one, which could just be a loose boot. Let's take that out of the equation. Now, let's try it on number 3. I do have spark on number 3. It's pretty weak. I'm going to go ahead and pull off the points cover. Just give the points a little bit of a file, just so that we know that they are nice and clean. And then we'll come back up here and check around on this number 2 plug, see if we can figure out what might be causing our no spark. Went ahead and filed the points. What I do is, if they're really bad, I have a flat file. These just have like a couple spots around them. Basically turn the motor over using the Kickstarter until the points are closed. I take a piece of 1000 grit sandpaper, about 1 inch by 1 inch, fold it in half. You can slide it in there and then just kind of wiggle it back and forth. And that just lightly sands the surface of it. So put the number 2 plug back in here. Let's hook our power back up. Cool, let's try it again. Oh yeah, got a spark now. A pretty good one too, much better than before. Sweet, so let's go ahead and hook all of these up. Before I'm gonna try and actually fire anything over, I do need to install the carbs and also install the exhaust. So we'll move on to that next. This is the exhaust we're going to be using. Anybody who's followed my channel for some time will recognize it. It's a 4-into-1 from Delcovic. It is stainless and sounds great when mated with the Cone Engineering 12-inch muffler, which is exactly the setup we're going to be using on this bike. I'll throw a clip in now of a previous build with this exhaust setup so you can kind of hear what it sounds like with the muffler. Today I don't have the muffler. It should be here in the mail hopefully tomorrow. So we're just going to run it open exhaust. It's really not going to make much of a difference as far as flow goes. It's just going to be that much louder. So prepare yourself. Should this bike run in this video, it's going to be a little bit on the loud side. So I'm going to go ahead and install this with some new gaskets. I did go ahead and pry off the old exhaust gaskets. Funny enough, there were no gaskets on 2 of them. One had 1 gasket, and then I think cylinder 2 had 2 exhaust gaskets smashed in there. So we got them all removed. We can go ahead and throw this new system on and get us ready for the carbs. Exhaust and carbs are on. Exhaust went smooth. The carbs, these boots are super hard, so I did just order some and have some on the way for the actual build. I just used the heat gun to soften them up a little bit to be able to get these carbs on, but hopefully they don't leak. I haven't actually tightened these clamps up yet, so I'll do that here in just a second. I also went ahead and threw on this universal throttle with a random cable so that we actually will be able to modulate our throttle here. So I am going to go ahead, tighten up those carb boots, hook up my auxiliary fuel tank, and then we're ready to put you guys in the tripod, open up the door, and see how this thing does. Got these wires kind of just hanging off. Obviously I'm going to have to replace most likely the stator, at least the windings, to fix that issue. So Much like when we ran the motor on the stand by itself, it will not charge, so I'm not going to be able to run it for that long, but we have a good charger in our battery box, so hopefully we'll be able to run it long enough. I'm going to energize our coil. I'm going to go ahead and give it some choke. Turn our fuel on. Wish I could reach the throttle at the same time. Go over here. All right, you guys ready? Well, that was pretty darn good. Let's try again. So I'm pretty surprised. This thing runs, it does run great. So there's obviously, and I say this every time, some additional tuning and stuff needed. It was running on all 4 cylinders, but you can tell this number 4 pipe doesn't quite have that same gold color as the number 1 and number 2, and the number 3 is kind of in the middle. That can probably be sorted out with just a good carb sync, and that will make sure that all of our carbs are running the same, because there's a good possibility that, you know, these cylinders are running, you know, allowing just a little bit more fuel, or being, you know, less fuel, whatever it may be. Just evening those out is going to have us have all of these cylinders be just a lot more uniform. So nothing to be concerned about, just something to note. I thought was kind of interesting. So. Well, I'm stoked, guys. This came back super easy. Sounds very healthy, has great compression. You know, for the little amount of tuning and stuff that I've done, obviously we didn't even get into you know, air fuel, screws, anything like that. That was just fresh off the rebuild, how it ran. I'm really, really excited. So now that we know that this engine is good and that this bike wants to come back to life, I'm going to continue to gather parts for this 1 week build. Again, this is going to be 7 days. I'm going to try to knock this whole thing out. It's not going to be wildly different from the bikes that I've built in the past, but that's because, you know, it's a bike that I'm familiar with. We talked about this a week or two ago, that I need to kind of bust out a couple of bikes at the beginning of this year in order to kind of build up some revenue and make sure that the shop is going to continue to succeed. So I want to knock out, you know, some bikes, make sure I can sell some of the inventory I have. I think I'm up to 18 motorcycles now, so I need to get them done. And I thought this would be an exciting way for me to be able to build a bike that I know I can sell, that's going to be cool, but in a little bit different format that hopefully you guys that have watched those previous builds will still enjoy seeing. It'll be a challenge for me to have daily uploads. For, you know, 5 days straight, 2 days off, 2 more days. Like I mentioned, it's going to be 7 total working days. So it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be some probably long days, late nights, early morning editing and stuff. So I appreciate if you guys would kind of follow along, give me a thumbs up, you know, some encouragement as I go. But I'm really excited about it. So you guys will be seeing the first video on this. It'll probably be about a week, because I want to, again, start it on Monday. Today's Wednesday. If I edit that video and have it up, hopefully on Tuesday. So next Tuesday, you should see the first video, and then a whole bunch following that. So let me know what you think about this below. Make sure to follow along on Instagram. I'll be doing some more kind of behind the scenes and stuff. And then I have another build coming up right after that that I want to involve you guys in. So I'm going to stop rambling. Again, I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll see you guys soon.